Well, I can't believe we've gotten to this point as currently constructed, but just a few minutes ago, a Sixers report came out with a brand new update as to where the Sixers may potentially stand in terms of a Ben Simmons trade situation. You're not going to want to miss what was said, and let me tell you, a lot of Sixers fans are not going to like hearing this one. Let's talk about it.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome on into Philly Take with RB, where we constantly talk Philadelphia sports each and every day. You know what to do. If you enjoy this content, be sure to drop a like on the video. Help push it out to other great viewers. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. And make sure you hit that bell so you get all the notifications. Also, check out the Fire Take merch store and consider becoming a channel member today for exclusive perks. All the links are down in the description. All right, let's talk about it. So, before we get right into the breaking news, a great post was put out this morning, and I think the timing of this was just absolutely sensational. Shout out to my friends over at the Liberty Line. They put this out on Twitter today. According to a study, the Philadelphia 76ers are calculated as the most stressed NBA fan base, with 29% of their fans feeling uneasy about their game. So the Sixers fan base is the most stressed, and what a beautiful way to cap it off here today. Just a few minutes ago, Michael KB, who covers the Sixers for CBS Sports reporter, he puts this out on Twitter and says, Ben Simmons trade talks have stalled for the time being, and the Sixers are prepared to have him on the roster at the start of the season, according to a league source. And you know, don't make any mistake here. There is no coincidence that this comes a day after this in terms of all the Damian Lillard rumors swirling out there. A couple days ago, if you did not see, Damian Lillard on his Instagram live story came out and said, I'm not leaving PDX as of right now, at least. So, I mean, that's a bit cryptic there. You know, it doesn't seem like too much certainty, but as of right now, it pretty much seems like Dame is committed to at least going to camp and trying to work things out. But, you know, there's been so many conflicting reports. It's just draining at this point. Like I said, I can't believe we're even here. But at the end of the day, you know, I've kind of been signaling towards this. I really feel like, you know, there's no options. And the first point I want to make is that this confirms what we have been saying all along. The Sixers and GM Daryl Morey, it has been, you know, big target or nothing. It has been all in for Dame. If you are a person that have not believed that before, if you've been, you know, the type of person to say, well, you know, we just don't have the cap to do anything. Well, you're right. We haven't had the cap flexibility. And when you're in an off season, you know, where you can't really sign too many big name free agents, where you can't go out and you don't have a high draft pick, there's only, you know, limited things that you can do. And when three players take up almost $100 million of your cap, you're even more restricted. And, you know, that's why we've been saying Daryl Morey has been all in terms of Damian Lillard. But the fact of the matter is that we can be all in all we want. But at the end of the day, the ball lies in Damian Lillard's court. It's really up to him and what he wants to do. And at the current time, you know, I mean, we know Damian Lillard's a loyal guy, but it does seem like he's going to want to go back to Portland and see what they have, I guess, in camp and see if things work out. You know, maybe my one theory about this is maybe this could just be media speak in terms of Damian Lillard, right? You know, maybe trying to throw some teams off the radar. And at the end of the day, Dame is talking behind closed doors because he said it himself. You know, he's a loyal guy and, you know, he will handle his business himself. He doesn't like false narratives. He doesn't like the media coming out and saying things for him. So maybe he's handling it behind closed doors. But, you know, at the end of the day, our opinion is all the same. The Portland Trailblazers have not done enough for Damian Lillard. You know, they don't want to wait. And anybody else, maybe even Portland fans at this point, don't want to waste the prime of Damian Lillard. And, you know, there are certain destinations where he could go, in our opinion, with the Sixers being one of them, where he could at least contend and have a better chance than staying in Portland. But, you know, if this is true and Dame's willing to go back to camp, I mean, the Sixers are going to have to run this thing back. They're just going to have to run this thing back as for now. But I do think at some point, maybe during the early season or maybe even during camp, because, you know, although it is a short period until the season starts, you know, really maybe under a couple months, there's still a lot of time for things to happen. And the next point I want to make is, like I said, it's all in Damian Lillard's power. You know, if he wants to go, Portland is going to work something out, and he is going to go. And at this point, that's what we all have to hope and pray for. Like I said, the writing has been on the wall. The Sixers have been all in on this. And what I will say, what I said yesterday, and I will probably reference this many more times, so remember it, man. This is either going to work out really, really good for the Philadelphia 76ers, or it may turn out as a disaster. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, we could wait this out. We could even wait a month into the season and, you know, the prize lands in our hands. And we get Damian Lillard and, you know, we part with Ben Simmons and, you know, we get the duo that we want. We finally give Joel Embiid the point guard that we want to see him play alongside. Or, you know, we strike out completely. Maybe Dame even goes to another team. But at this point, you know, it seems like the Sixers have pushed all their chips in waiting for this move. But Dame goes somewhere else, or he doesn't leave at all. And Ben Simmons gets to a point where he just doesn't feel comfortable anymore. And that's another thing. That's the next thing, you know. This could turn out really bad, and the Sixers could end up with something very much less than what they want, and people get unhappy. And then, you know, in a couple years, we're looking at this team, even this year, and thinking, like, can they really contend? And then you start to look at people like Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, and what do you do with them at that point? That's down the road. But all I'm saying is, you know, we went into this offseason knowing something needs to happen, man. We can't be complacent. Sure, and I keep telling people this, we will end up as the 3rd seed. We will end up as the 4th seed potentially if we keep this team as currently constructed. I don't have any doubts about that, but we've seen time and time again when it comes to playoff basketball, we just cannot thrive with one of our players, especially our point guard, one, not being able to hit free throws, and 2, just not being able to really bring anything on the offensive side of the game. So that's kind of where we stand. It's very tough, and you know, it's not like we can go out and upgrade with better role players. I think we have pretty good role players at this point. You know, we just have to see what happens and hope that we can nurture and grow. If you could tell me that Ben Simmons was going to come back and, you know, he was going to start shooting and being effective with it, I think the Sixers have a chance to beat anybody in the East. But that's the thing. We see all the videos. We see it right in front of our face, and come season time, I just, based off of history, I just can't expect that is going to happen. So the Sixers are in a very big conundrum here, and I just don't know what is going to happen at this point. Lastly, I'll end with this. My expectation is that this will carry over to camp. Damian Lillard is first and foremost. Depending on what he does, that will, you know, lead to a domino effect. If he does nothing, the Sixers are going to try to have to make this work and, you know, put out all the right things, try to make it feel like things are okay. But then again, if you go down to the next tier and Ben Simmons says, you know what, I don't want to be here, and Rich Paul starts a whole thing, and, you know, they're willing and they're dedicated on moving, then the Sixers have to make something work. But then again, you know, what if the timing is not right in terms of another star wanting out, and then you just get into a whole thing. So timing is everything. Timing is everything, but I will tell you this. I do strictly believe Daryl Morey is willing to play the waiting game even longer until the best opportunity comes along. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But as of right now, it seems that the Sixers are at least going to try to make amends here, at least for a certain period of time. Because let me tell you something. Again, there is no coincidence that the day after Damian Lillard appears to be going back to Portland, at least to give it a shot, the Sixers come out and say they plan on keeping Ben Simmons, and all the trade talks are just suddenly dying down. That is not a coincidence. There's a direct correlation. It's always been Dame or nothing. And, you know, we're just going to have to see how far Daryl Morey and this organization is willing to go to stretch out the limits. But that's just my thoughts. I want to hear from you. What do you make of this? Let me know down below in the comments section. Give me all your thoughts. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And like always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.